All right, guys, episode number 5. Can't believe we're already in number 5 of Kings of Monaco. We are 4 friends, grew up together. We want to highlight our life, talk about what we've been through, how we grew up, 90s kids, like kind of all of the above. And we're having a blast. So if you're listening to this, thank you so much for joining us. We have some fun topics today. We're on Spotify now. We're going to mention that here. Well,
yeah.
Let's just mention it now. We're on Spotify. We're going to leave that in the comments. We don't need to say any more. But if
we're big time.
Yeah. So you don't have to watch the YouTube video. You could just literally subscribe to our Spotify channel and then listen to all the latest episodes. So we'll put that in the link. That's all we need to say about that, really. Vince, you bought a Jeep. We want to talk about that because we're kind of Jeep fans. Yeah, go.
Well, there are 3 Jeep fans and one
3
yet to be Jeep fan.
We're going to convince you a little bit later, Carlos.
I actually like the way Jeeps look. I think they're awesome vehicles. It's getting my wife to like them. That's the challenge.
All right. Well, how about the 3 of us drive over there, and then, well, Vince can't. He's in Florida, but LeBeau and I could drive over there. We're going to talk about Shane Gillis, who was on SNL. Maybe just some controversial stuff with comedians that are going on in our world today. LeBeau had a fun topic. What if you won the lotto? What would you do? We're going to talk about that. What would each one of us do? What would we do with the money if we had it? How about driving in Colorado? We're going to talk about that and not just driving, but in the snow.
Didn't you guys get snow today? Or
it's
Tuesday today, right?
Today's Tuesday. It is National Cigar Day, which is another topic we're going to talk about. National Cigar Day. So let's kick it off. Vince, you bought a Jeep.
Yeah.
Talk about it, man. What year, what make, model, all that fun stuff.
So I bought a 2020 Jeep Wrangler, not used, but you guys know you don't have to buy a new Jeep. They've looked the same since when, like, the 90s. It's like you could buy a 1995 Jeep and you're like, is that a 95 or a 20? I couldn't tell, depending on how you take care of it.
I mean, the only thing, to be fair though, the new LED beams.
Yeah.
Those look pretty sick. But you could always mod that too for any Jeep any year. Anyway.
Yeah, so I'm gonna tell you guys the reason why I bought it, because, like, I don't know about you guys, but I don't like spending money a lot. Like, I don't want to spend money, and so I had a Ford Edge.
Money. You're like Ocho Cinco.
Just kidding.
So I had a Ford Edge, and it was an older model, but man, the thing was great car. I'm not gonna dog on the car because it got me to from A to B, but like last week it just died on me.
That's because it only gets you to B, bro. There's more letters in the alphabet.
Yeah, it was like, I needed to get to P, and I only got to like M, so
wah, 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 wah. Okay.
But man,
you gotta be ready with that, man.
Super excited. Been wanting a Jeep for a little while. I had to join the family, which now we're gonna convince Carlos to join the Jeep family. Because
I thought you had a Bronco. I feel like when you came over this summer, you had a Bronco.
I did, but I wrecked it. I got in an accident.
Joe doesn't know how to drive, so you had to get a Jeep.
You didn't know that?
No.
So yeah, I had the 2022 Jeep, the sport one, pretty blue. You guys saw it at your house. We're driving on our way to the gym. Bronco, sorry, 2022 Bronco Sport. There it is. And we're on our way to the gym, my wife and I, driving up Arapahoe. And it was one of those days, speaking of driving in Colorado.
Driving in the winter.
Yeah, driving in the winter. This guy comes out, on the other side of Arapahoe, turns onto it and just loses his control. He's just spinning. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's going to hit us. I knew I was going to have to get off the road because he was just all over the place. I started driving off to the side. He crushed the side of the car. We're on my side, spun out. We ended up facing each other. Airbags go off. My iPhone calls 911. Like, all of the above happened. So anyway, I was totaled, and I said, I'm getting a Jeep now.
So you know what comes to mind as you're talking about your crash, and we're also on the subject of Jeeps. Do you remember when I can't remember who you were with. Was it LeBeau maybe? And you guys saw that wreck on I-70? That guy in the Jeep?
I-25.
Yeah, I-25 over by Gates, over off of
on I-25 and like
Broadway. Yep. Where they was it the one where they flipped over and then ended up right back on?
The chick that flipped over the Jeep right on the on ramp, dude.
Man, I like to laugh at that kind of stuff, but she literally flipped over, flip, and landed right back on our tires. And all I remember is, I mean, thank God she had her seatbelt on, but I just remember like a rag doll, just kind of like,
everywhere inside that thing.
And she have long hair? Did she have long hair?
Yeah. She had long hair. The top was off. It was a nice sunny day. I don't know how this is happening.
It was just out of nowhere.
Boom, 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 dude. And
just boink, 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 boom, right back on your tires.
I thought a better story would have been as like Joe was like, honey, I'm just gonna put my cycling shoes on right now. So and then his like feet were slipping on the pedals and he wrecked.
No. That might have been a better story.
An invention. Clip on driving shoes.
Yeah, he like clipped on his. He has those clip-ons for his pedals.
So
he's like, honey, let's go.
How many wrecks that would cause, though?
Yeah,
dude, you know what'd be hilarious? Well, not what would be, but what is hilarious, and no shame to cyclists out there, but the funniest thing to me is when you're like at a stoplight and this big hulking like tree trunk leg guy pulls up next to you and he unclips his shoe and then he steps on the asphalt. It's all tick. It's like the small.
It's like,
well, you know what that is, right?
For a minute.
You know what? Those are like the clips from the bike.
I know that, but it's hilarious because it reminds me of like high heels. You have this like Hulk man or person, and they're like, tick.
So, just for the record, I don't wear those. Okay, just for the record, I wear these. These are they're called TMs, right? And they actually look like a tennis shoe. They have Velcro, and then check it out. Boom! The clip is hiding on the inside. Right there. Dang. So you could literally walk around in these. You're not going to click like high heels, like Carlos just said.
What do you mean? It looks like a tennis shoe. It is a tennis shoe, really. I mean,
yeah. I mean, it looks like. Sorry, let me get it again.
Like a normal shoe.
Why does it have a big old giant like Velcro thing though? Like, what is the point behind that? Because there's no.
Do you want to tie your shoes or do you want to just do this?
Yeah, I guess.
You know? Yeah.
No, I mean,
don't get caught. Your
is that the main reason?
Yeah, your shoelace. Yeah, Vince said it exactly. You don't want your shoelaces getting caught in your pedals. So you're less likely if you don't have any shoelaces. This is super ease of use, and then so yeah, they look like shoes, but they're super stiff, the sole. So every cycling shoe is going to have a really stiff sole, and then that is what we call a SPD clip right there. They make them. There's different types, but that's my newest one. TM, shout me out. Looking for a brand deal.
Dang.
Go out.
Dang.
There you go. It's a good looking shoe.
Yeah. So you brought, what color is your Jeep, man?
It's a dark gray. I believe it's gunmetal gray. It's
granite crystal, dude.
Oh, it's granite crystal. I'm sorry. Like,
is it really, LeBeau?
Yeah,
you know that?
Is. Yeah, I checked it out. It's pretty sick.
I mean, I know you sent us a photo.
So is that what color yours is, Joe?
Yeah. No.
Mine is gray. It's like a flat gray.
That's not the technical term. What's the technical term?
Joe's is
I don't remember. What is it, LeBeau?
Joe's a ship. It's like a warship gray. Like, what is it called?
Yeah. I don't know. Something like that. Yeah. Whale gray.
Yeah. So it's super exciting. I actually put the top up today, and man, it was nice out. I know.
Yeah, we can't do that in Colorado. Thank you for saying that.
Top up and then down. I don't know.
Did you install one of those? Did you install like the whole thing in a garage, or how did you take the top off? Is it a soft top, or I don't remember?
It's a soft top.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So it's easier.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Joe's is anvil color.
Anvil.
Yep.
Anvil.
All right. Anvil, and then it's an electric or one of those 4xe.
4xe.
So it has, what's that?
4xe.
Yeah, 4xe. Thank you for correcting my life right now.
You're like, I just bought the Jeep.
Just bought it, dude. God. Yeah, it's got the blue accents. It's fun. But super. So how do you like it so far?
I like it, man. It's funny. My wife, Bree, she was like, man, it's really noisy. And I'm like, yeah, it's a Jeep.
You're like, that's because the top is down, honey.
They're super noisy when the top's down and driving.
Yeah.
It's part of the fun though.
Are there a lot of Jeeps out there in Florida? I think
there
is like a hill vehicle, like a Colorado, Montana vehicle.
So it's cool because there's beaches out here that you could actually drive up on the beach and park on the beach, and you're right there. And like you see a ton of Jeeps doing that out there, out here. So that's what we'll be doing this summer.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And this would help you convince your wife, Carlos. This is like the ultimate driving experience. You're able to like get around in the snow in the winter of Colorado when you need to. And then if we need to take off to like Lake McConaughey where there's like sun and sand, you could have the doors and the top off and everything, and you can get around in the sand and enjoy the sun and all that good stuff. You got it's just all about how you're going to sell it to her, man. That's the
delivery,
thing,
man.
Ultimately, like the ultimate all-around vehicle.
Well, do you like it, Carlos? I mean, do you like them anyway?
I do. I think they're awesome. I would prefer the hardtop though. I'm more of like an East Coast guy. We talked about it in one of the episodes. I can't remember, but one of my childhood dream cars was actually a Jeep, a hardtop Jeep, you know. And I think it was probably a Wrangler. And they have some amazing looking Jeeps now. I do like the way they look. I think they look awesome. I don't know what their safety record is like. Obviously, having little ones, that's important.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think, I don't know. I just don't think she's into Jeeps. I have to say, I'm not like, you know, on that childhood dream anymore. But it would be fun to have a Jeep. I've actually mentioned it on a couple of occasions that I'd like to buy a Jeep, but then I see like, you know, like the new Ford Expeditions or like, I've been thinking about buying a truck for like 10 years, like a pickup truck.
Yeah.
You know, just because of the utility of them. But so I'm sort of all over the place, honestly.
That's why I bought the Gladiator, bro, because you're gonna add that one extra element that's missing from the Jeep itself is the truck bed. So now you have that as well. You have the towing capacity of it, the cargo capacity, all the extra stuff too. So that they came up with a solution to your problem too, as far as like having a truck attached as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
I would say the only thing that I didn't realize about the Jeep was there is limited cargo capacity on the back. It's not very big. And the back is the one thing that I'm like, oh, I wish there was a little more room back here for the size of the vehicle. But other than that, I love it. It's a fun car.
What kind of Jeep do you have?
I have a Wrangler, Sierra Wrangler.
So you have the back seat and then you just have like a little tiny cubby in the back or what? Or do you have like a little bit of
It's a 4-door. It's a 4-door, but there's
space back there. It's just you would expect more, like especially when like if I'm folding the soft top, it pretty much takes up all that room back there.
Yeah.
That's the only bad thing.
Yeah.
But it's fun though.
Right on. Well, we're gonna get
another
Carlos
vehicle, like you were saying, Carlos. If you want to get something that's, you know, still Jeep brand, because that brand has been around since 1941, still Jeep brand, but like not on the Wrangler side, more of like a look side. You mentioned the Expedition. Jeep came out with a throwback, the Jeep Wagoneer. And the Wagoneer, 3-row with extra cargo space. The thing is huge.
It's freaking huge. Yeah,
like it's not going to be on the light end of price, but it's definitely if you're considering like an Expedition or something to keep par with the Expedition or the Escalade or something like that, the Jeep Wagoneer would be something that you would definitely want to look at it.
Yeah, the other thing that limits me, and I don't want to make this into an ad for cars, but the other thing that limits me is, we have a travel trailer, so I sort of want a vehicle that will, kill multiple birds with one stone. And I don't think a Jeep would, even the big one, I don't know that it would have sufficient towing capacity, which is a barrier for me. I don't want to have just a spare car parked in the garage. It's really got to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah, it's got a 7,000-pound towing capacity.
LeBeau knows all the stats.
LeBeau,
the Wagoneer.
Like you have an anvil, you have a gunmetal, you have 7,000 points, whatever.
LeBeau's gonna get us sponsored by Jeep.
I'm trying to get Jeep to shout me out if I need a sponsor too. Jeep is my sponsor here.
I mean, it was just shoes for me. I mean, for vehicles, that's elite, bro. Hey, let's talk about some of the comedians, Shane Gillis being on SNL recently, and just anything surrounding that topic of potentially cancel culture, whatever that might be. Carlos, what do you got, man?
Well, I feel like it's very cyclical, right? So as we get closer to election time, it sort of feels like the American public starts to walk on eggshells. And I'm not suggesting that all comedy is fair game. I do think that there are limits and lines that some comedians cross. At the end of the day, right, you're in control over what you decide to consume from a content standpoint. If you don't like it, change the channel, right? It's that old adage. Mm-hmm. On the same token, I do think, like I said, that there are comedians out there that have crossed the line on certain instances. What reminded me of that was this character, Shane, whatever his last name is, him having been invited back to SNL after being fired from SNL back in the day for some controversial remarks that he made, right, that were culturally insensitive, apparently. And so he gets fired, he gets canceled, and now he's back to SNL. So I guess my question in all of this is that reasonable, right, for the American public to take such a polarizing stance on this type of art medium? I know for me, if there's a comedian that I feel is degrading or is just not fun to listen to, it's an easy fix for me, right? I turn off the television, or I change the channel, or I change the Spotify channel, whatever the case might be. Is cancel culture taking it too far? That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah. First, I would kind of preface all of that with the fact that because of social media, it put the power in the people's hands. So in other words, before social media, before we were all able to voice our opinion and say what we were and weren't going to do, it was just whatever was on TV. Again, to your point, Carlos, you could change the channel, but you can't say anything about it. There was really nowhere. You might call the network, maybe email them, whatever. But now you have masses of people who don't like something that was said, done, broadcasted, whatever. And then you have a movement that says we are no longer going to subscribe to Netflix, or we're no longer going to listen to you, or we're going to take away sponsorships. Like, it's in the power of the people. So I would say that that's the world that we're living in. I mean, and so when in regards to your question, say that again, phrase your question again. So I just wanted to
my question is it reasonable for society to have the ability to cancel someone like a Shane or like a Chris Rock or like anybody, right? Like a Dave Chappelle, right? For jokes that are offensive to you? Or can jokes, is it substantive enough for you to be like, yeah, that guy's he's got to be fired indefinitely? Again, I say that cautiously because I know, again, we're sort of in the spotlight, right? Because I'm sure there'll be people writing in and making comments about my very comments. But it's an honest question. To what degree do we, as consumers of this content, have the right or the ability to cancel these people?
So I like this whole podcast is based on like we're from the Gen X, era, and it seemed back then everything was kind of like a comedian was a comedian, a TV star was a TV star, a musician was a musician, a football player was a football player. It was like now everybody, because of like Joe said, the social platforms that we have now, everybody's like, well, I got something to say. And I mean, what are we doing here, but we're here just like it's like back in the Gen X, it's like we didn't have all those resources, so we were like, it didn't seem like those lines were blurred at all. Everything just kind of seemed like everything had its platform and it wasn't as exposed as before.
But we did have our opinion though, right? Like we would all talk about a certain show, a certain comedian.
Of course.
We just didn't have a platform to put it out in the public. But is it fair though? Like, is it right? Is it fair? LeBeau, what do you think? Like, is it fair? Is it right?
I'm kind of all over the place on this topic, dude, because the simple fact that by having an opinion is an issue, right? Like, so I'm kind of all over the place with it. I think that, and I'm wondering, I kind of think back. I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking back, where did this like cancel culture type of mentality come from? And it's literally, I was thinking when they started outlawing indoor smoking. Is kind of when it, believe it or not, is when this type of stuff happened. When you made this law to where you're like saying, okay, well, you can no longer smoke indoors because you're harming me. And so now that takes that freedom away from that person, but it's the same freedom to the person that's smoking in order to harm themselves and so on and so forth. I think that's kind of when this whole like woe is me, like cancel culture, like my rights are greater than your rights type of movement happens when they stopped indoor smoking. I what do you guys think? Like, do you think that's when this kind of like stuff started happening?
Yeah, you're hitting on such a like big topic. We can literally unpack that in multiple episodes. But yeah, I mean, to what degree is someone's rights greater than the next person's, right? When you talk about cancel culture and just public figures in general, everybody has an opinion, right? LeBeau, you hit the nail on the head. Just by having an opinion, that could be offensive to people, regardless of what that opinion is, because the fact of the matter is, there's going to be somebody that disagrees with you at some point, right? You could be the best, you could have the best intentions in mind. You're bound to come across somebody who disagrees with you at some point. And I just, I'm curious about that. And I'm not saying that it's fair or unfair, but it's a question. It's a question that I have because, to me, comedians are comedians. They say stupid things and they sort of get paid for saying stupid things. And I don't know that necessarily gives them a hall pass for crossing those lines that I'm talking about. There are just some things that you don't joke about, right? That you don't play with. But I think about when we were kids back in the 90s, 80s and 90s, if someone had dropped a microphone in our conversations, right, we would have been canceled every single day of our lives because that's what, when you have an opinion, I mean, let's just be honest here. You're not always politically correct or in line with, what is socially acceptable. You're just you, right? So it's an honest question to get us to thinking as we approach the 2024 election, and I'm sure it's going to be fireworks, just like it was, the first time around.
2020.
But I'm curious. Yes, 2020. Thank you. But I'm curious about
the facts man.
What does everybody think about that? Gosh, supposedly this gentleman Shane was able to gather the highest viewer ratings for SNL in I want to say like in a couple of decades, maybe, and I could be wrong on that.
For this last appearance.
Yeah, apparently it was like a major like ratings raking for SNL. I don't know if that's true. That's what you hear from, some of the folks that support this guy. People that disagree with this guy are saying, "Oh no, it was the worst show of all time." Right? His jokes were flat. They were terrible. His monologue was terrible. So it's like, it's just so polarizing.
Well, you like said a couple things that we didn't hear back, like socially acceptable, politically correct. I mean, we didn't like those were phrases that just weren't like relevant back when we were. I think they were.
Well, socially acceptable was like, am I accepted into like the rockers or the a certain group of people? There was a different type of social acceptance, right?
Yeah,
like,
but it's different now. Like,
yeah,
it's pressing to. Am I able to put my craft out there? Because it's pushing the threshold of, like you say, politically correctness and all that stuff. But I like, I'm with you, LeBeau. I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of comedians who have pushed that threshold way too far, and I think people are like pushing back on that. But then everybody, well, we got this guy to stop doing that, so let's push to where we could stop him from doing this. Let's stop him from doing this, to where it's like, oh, now we can't do anything, It's like,
I think opponents of cancel culture, right, will say, but it's free speech, right? There are many advocates out there that will say, I have the right to say whatever I want, right? Yeah. Irrespective of whether or not I have a large platform or not, irrespective of whether or not it's offensive to you. And I totally get that. And again, I'm not suggesting that it's right or wrong. I'm not suggesting that cancel culture, has a moral high ground or not. It's, I think, a topic that we all need to consider, that we need to think about, because at the end of the day, right, we live in one society, we live in one community, we live in one human race. And at the end of the day, we have to find a way to coexist and find a way to find a ground that is harmonious, irrespective of how you feel about politics, about social issues, about anything else, right? You have to find a way to get through and be able to extend your hand to that person across the aisle or across the divide, whatever that divide is, and be able to get along and be able to coexist. And again, if they say something or do something that is egregious and offensive, don't listen to it. Don't consume that content, right? Yeah. And let it end there. From my perspective, I certainly would.
But a lot of people don't agree with that. They're going to fight. You know, a lot of people are going to say, no, they shouldn't say it anyway. I think there's this balance between, and I'll kind of bounce off of what you're saying, Carlos, because I agree that there's a balance between freedom of speech and comedy, specifically being, there's a thread of truth in all comedy. That's what makes it funny. It's kind of true, right? They're just putting a fun spin on it. And then you have culture that like changes every 5-10 years, every decade, whatever, it changes. And I feel like the culture or the cancellation, if you will, that has uprooted itself over the last decade or whatever. It followed culture. Culture became sensitive because of things that happened in the world. And then now you can't say certain things about certain things that happen in the world. So now that stifles comedy. Now that stifles this. Now that stifles freedom of speech. Now, and then now you have an uprising of newer and potentially former comedians saying, no, we're still going to say what we want to say. And there's an audience that will be okay with that now. And now it's like the culture, it just kind of flows with culture. I think as culture changes, so does that. You know, you back to your point earlier, when we were in the 90s, we used to cut each other down and say really bad things, right? Like if anybody posted that on social media, all of us would be considered really bad people for what we told each other.
Imagine if we
I
had,
can't even
like,
say the things that we said when we were kids.
imagine
right?
if we had Snapchat or IG back then, and we were like cutting into each other like publicly about some of the stuff we would like. I mean,
it would be bad. It would be bad. But that was our culture, right? And then culture changed, you know. And then again, I just think as society, things happen in our culture, community, world that affects these things, and then it stifles them, and then people get tired of being stifled, then they come back, and then they have a following that come, you know, it just kind of comes and goes. So I just think
go ahead, LeBeau.
I was just gonna say, so Joe, I'm with you. I agree. Like there's definitely something that it follows, and is this culture the thing that it follows? Because when I think about it, sometimes I think about it in terms of like majority rules is what it follows.
Yeah.
Because whoever makes the loudest noise, whoever makes the most impact vocally, seems to get the most attention, and society tends to drift to that nature. I mean, it's a pack mentality. It's about people ganging up on the lesser of people, or the lesser minority. Like, for example, Black Lives Matters. Like it was a pack mentality. Black Lives Matters. Someone made a big uproar about Black Lives Matters, and then people started making issues about, you know, all lives matter and all this, that, and the other. So like it became a different kind of social issue, and it seemed like to follow the majority rules more than a culture change. It's definitely confusing in that aspect for sure.
Yeah, you know, it's an interesting issue, right? And it's very polarizing. And I'm sure that there are people who might be watching or listening in that are forming their own opinions about us, right? Just by talking about it. I personally, a value that I try and instill in my children is that, you know, if there's someone that is robbing you of your peace, whatever that peace is, the more time you spend thinking about that person or about that issue, the more you rob yourself of that peace, and the more influence and empowerment that you're giving to that individual or that entity over your feelings, right? And ultimately, you are in control over how you feel simply by prioritizing your attention, right? And maybe that's at the heart of cancel culture, right? And let me just put a spin on that. Maybe that's at the heart of what those individuals that, you know, cancel comedians, maybe that's what they're trying to do, is to regain that control, right? To regain that peace, and not empower someone to have that type of influence over how they feel. Anyway, it's an interesting subject. It was something that you know, got my mind thinking as I was seeing just the different threads on social media about. I actually didn't even watch the show. Ironically, I didn't even watch it. I stopped watching SNL a long time ago.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, I was a big old school SNL fan with Chris Farley and all those dudes. But I just thought that it would be an interesting thing to talk about and dissect, because even the four of us probably vary in opinion over it, right? So what might offend Joe might not offend me, especially after a couple shots of tequila, right? And what might offend LeBeau might not offend Vince, right? So it's just an interesting concept, interesting subject to talk about. I'd love to hear what some of the audience members think about it.
Yeah, comment below for sure on what you're thinking. I think, I don't know that any of us could offend any of us any more than we probably have tried to in our lifetime, because we've told each other some really bad things. At some point, we're going to get to some of that too, but definitely we could take another dive on this at another time, because it's such an interesting topic to talk about. So LeBeau, you had a question that had me thinking all week, because we like to chat. I love that we have, by the way, like we are real friends. Like we really love each other. We really care about each other. We have this chat that is going on probably almost daily at this point. We're always sending each other fun stuff, calling each other out, sending a TikTok, whatever we think is funny for the day, whatever, you know, and we upload or we chat about different ideas that we want to talk about on the podcast. And LeBeau had mentioned, let's talk about what you would do with the money if you won the lotto. That's a fun one. That's a fun one because who hasn't driven by the billboard, seen the commercial, watched the ad, whatever, and thought about what they would do. So LeBeau, since you thought about this, man, you kick it off, man. What would you do?
Yeah, and that was my.
And how much is it? Let's just put a number on it.
I think it's
what
like
is it? What is it right now?
Powerball and Mega Millions. I think one of them's like at 600 million. The other one's like at 400 million or something like that. I don't know. Like,
let's go with 500 million. If you had 500 million,
yeah, 500 million, right?
$500 million.
I was that day when you guys were like, man, let's talk about something, it popped in my head because I was literally driving by that sign, Joe, and I seen that up there and I'm like, hey man, like I've thought so many times about winning that thing. I never play it, so I'm probably never going to win it, but I have definitely found myself like in like daydream mode of like what could be done with that kind of money.
Real quick.
Statistics are definitely not in your favor if you're not playing, dude.
Hold on, real quick. Is it true that your grandparents won a small lotto when you were younger?
Yeah, when I was younger, my grandparents, they won. So was this like the 80s and 90s or something like that? They won in the tens of thousands of dollars from a lottery ticket. So
nice.
But yeah, that is true.
And then they gave you some and you spent it all on chicks. Just kidding.
Pretty much.
He spent all that money on spandex.
Spandex for sure. That every pair.
Dude, that was hilarious. Oh my gosh.
I've fantasized, had daydreams and fantasies about what I would do with the money. I'm not sure fantasy is the word that you want to use for it, but whatever.
I'm
right?
Thinking about LeBeau now walking around in full body spandex outfits.
And through the week, I was thinking about, man, there's so many different things that I could do with this.
All right, what would you do with it?
So I ultimately found out what I would do with it. At the end of the day, what I would do, dude, is I would buy that piece that Carlos was talking about. I would just buy time to myself, like just no bills, no nothing, just find peace, just find time to enjoy my life. That's what I would ultimately buy if I won the Mega.
So buying that means that you would have to pay everything off and not have any of those distractions, not have to work, not have to.
Correct.
Okay, that's what that means specifically.
And I was like, man, I can get a boat. I have a boat. That's the thing too. I was like, I have things in my life where, like, the boat, the car, the house, the thing. I've done that stuff in my life.
The library behind you.
You would think he already won the lottery. I saw a setup today, and I'm like, we're going to be talking about winning the lottery. It looks like LeBeau already won the lottery.
I already have those things. So I'm like,
dude, you have a library at your house.
I know. And so got one of those little ladders that go by.
Do you have a librarian to take care of that library too?
Librarian. But no, I
okay, so be just a hair more specific. You would have to do all that stuff, but would you move? Would you buy a house somewhere else? Would you go somewhere, a different part of
definitely be
the world?
Somewhere warm. I would definitely move somewhere warmer, but I'd keep my Colorado home because that's where my family is. My family's going to be part of that piece, right? Enjoying my family is going to be part of that piece. But I would definitely have a second home somewhere, probably Arizona. And I'd probably golf, smoke some cigars, chill all day long. That would be my thing, man. I wouldn't want to get too crazy, and it can be donated to somewhere when I'm done by my kids or whatever they want to do with it.
Is there anything that you would want to do?
Warm. Arizona is not warm. In case you don't know, Arizona is freaking hot.
Yeah. It's fire.
I'm that style though, man. I'll sweat it up, dude. Like I'm good with Arizona.
All right. So would you do anything? Are there any aspirations, dreams that you like? If I had money and I've always wanted to do this, outside of the fact that it's going to buy you time, it's going to buy you peace, it's going to buy you, family, time with all that. But is there anything that you would do as far as just like a hobby or something that you just love?
I thought about that during the week too, and I think one thing I thought about was I would take myself to college. I'd go to CU, dude, and like get a degree in something really auspicious and stupid. But yeah, I would do something like that.
All right. You don't know what particular you'd have to figure it out.
Not to figure it out, dude.
So I have a question. Would you be a good student, or would you be like what's that movie with Will Ferrell?
Happy Gilmore.
No, not Happy Gilmore.
No, I'd be a good student, man. I'd be a good student because I think that we'd all kind of maybe do that like college thing over differently if we had a chance.
LeBeau would join a frat.
I am the frat house, brother.
Yeah.
Hey. I am the house. No, that's cool, man. That's cool. Vince, what would you do, man?
What about you, Vince?
$500 million. What would you do, man?
Go. I think LeBeau hit it on the head. Like buying peace is but that's the biggest thing. Like I would buy, like, we love it here in Florida. We moved here about 6 years ago or so, and we've grown to love it out here in Florida, but I do love it still in Colorado. I mean, so I would, I'd have multiple properties, and I'd like to buy something over, somewhere in Spain or Italy or something like that. Buy
Europe
cottage or something out there, Yeah,
out of the country, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd love to do that,
dude. Europe's on point.
Yeah, you just took a vacation earlier,
dude. Europe's
last year, right?
Yeah,
out
went to Greece.
And I mean, there's some outside of United States. There's just some beautiful places, but I always thought like it would be great to buy like 3 homes right next to each other, like in a small, like a secluded area, buy like 3 homes, and that way when you want family come out, forget getting hotels, forget getting Airbnbs. We're gonna have a big family gathering, all the family come stay over here. Yep. No time limit to when you're gonna be out, family, friends, whatever,
That'd be sick.
Yeah, just
what about some hobbies? What would you do with we know you love to sing and write music, and would you do anything with that?
Yeah, I mean, like you always think about like investing in, like, finding some like crazy talented person and be able to invest that money into like building up something like that, building up an artist, from scratch, and seeing that grow, doing something like that. But
maybe buying a studio, state-of-the-art equipment, finding some talent, being the producer, all that stuff. That would be cool.
Be an executive producer and just like watch it grow. Nice. That would be amazing. But also like I love playing golf. I'd love to get.
I was gonna say, bro, like I don't know why we're not golfing.
Get better at golf, and I would buy like a membership at one of the top end golf courses and just be like throwing down.
Right on.
Bringing that Commerce City into the country club,
Part of the fun of golf outside of the game is just driving around in that stinking cart, bro. That's just fun. Just hopping in the cart and then having whatever you like to drink, your drink of choice, some snacks, and just the whole inner like community aspect of it. Like LeBeau and I went not too long ago. It's just fun just to hop in. Like you could have a bad day and it's just fun, like to be around, your people, your tribe or whatever. That's cool, man.
And a nice golf course, Joe. That golf course that we played at, man,
that was sick.
Beyond like that thing was awesome, bro. Like,
yeah, it's like a video game, like golf course.
Vince will kind of understand this. There's this elevated tee. It's probably 300 feet high. No joke, dude. And it's only like 200 yards long. So you're basically hitting it off the top of a cliff and straight down.
Yeah, where was it at?
It's called a Mariana Butte. It's in Loveland, Colorado. It's
okay.
awesome.
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
gorgeous.
like those are beautiful. I've played a couple of those where you like it's 200 yards, but it plays about 150. So you're like hitting an 8 or a 9 iron for 200 yards.
Yeah, it's wild.
Cool. Carlos, what would you do, man?
Well, I would need a driver to hit 190 yards, but and that's if I hit the ball.
Eye on the ball, bro.
And he is not lying.
And that's if I hit the ball. Gosh, man. First of all, I want to bring you guys back to reality. So half a $500 million, right off the bat, when you pay taxes, is not $500 million.
Here we go.
So you're going to have to pay Uncle Sam right off the top. So you're left with probably 60% of that, whatever the case might be. Definitely pay off all the bills. You pay off all the debt, which thankfully I have a good wife. I have a good steward of our money. We really don't have much to pay off. I would get a few more pairs of these.
That's it. Come on, Gordon.
You can't even.
There you go.
I'd get a few more pair of those, and definitely invest in some companies, some businesses. What
would be a company that, if you had that amount of money, what would be a company that you would invest in?
Well, I'd have to do some research, but definitely I think real estate is always really safe to invest in. I think that, buying land is probably going to be a pretty safe bet into the future. I'd also get into precious metals more. So I'd buy more gold, more silver, stuff that isn't going to depreciate over time. You don't have to worry about the stock market eating it up, right? We all experienced that right after COVID, where, man, a big chunk of our retirement funds were eaten up by those downturns. So I would buy more into precious metals. You guys know me well. I am not traditionally a benevolent person, although I do give people money, like if I see somebody in need on the street that needs food, and if I have cash on hand, I freely give. But I've never really been big into I'll just use it as an example, like adoption, right? Just because it hasn't ever been on the radar. But I have to tell you, if I had $500 million after all of that was done, and maybe even before that, I would try to look for some organizations, some nonprofits like orphanages, or, some places that are legitimately trying to make this world a better place and give. Again, it sounds weird even just listening to me say that, because I'm traditionally not the guy who goes out looking for, places to give out money to. Now, I will volunteer. I volunteer a lot. We do a bunch of stuff, with the girls' school, and it would be great to be able to have those types of resources to dedicate to people who really need it. Now,
I thought about that over the week too, Carlos. Adoption, like just adopting some kids and like taking care of some other lives and stuff too. But this is one of those things that crossed my mind, and I think that's legitimate thing for whatever reason.
Well, it's a complicated matter, right? Because when you adopt a child, you have to obviously raise that child. You have to care for that child as though it's your own child. And I hate to say it, but, some of these kids just have such traumatic experiences that the average person probably isn't equipped, to help them or to provide the help that child actually needs psychologically, emotionally, etc. So that piece of it does intimidate me a little bit. And that's why I'm saying, I would look for an organization that is actually equipped to help these kids truly, and help them get on their feet, right? Help them become active pillars of society. But yeah, I mean, having that amount of money to me is just, it's hard to even think about because it's so much money,
Yeah.
It almost feels like an infinite amount of money. But here's the other fact. There are probably very few, if any, lottery winners that still have lottery money, right? They all go broke very quickly because they don't ever see that money ending. And the reality is that, man, there's there's a finite limit to what money can get you, even at that level, right?
Yeah.
Because your spending becomes bigger, your dreams become bigger, your ambitions become bigger. And I tell you, if you can live a modest life the way we live today, well, the way I live today, I know you all Jeep owners out there, aren't as modest as I am. But if you can live a modest life, if you win,
but you have a BMW.
$500 million.
Yeah, he had a BMW before any of us even had a car, dude.
Actually, no, I didn't. My wife had
a Range Rover.
Yeah, and a Range Rover.
Yeah, you did have a Range Rover.
Out of here, modest boy. Modest stripe on your head.
I would buy another one of those probably before a Jeep.
Okay. Anyway, sorry we broke your flow.
I know, Daddy Warbuck over here.
Saying, it is hard to conceptualize, though, right? It is hard to think, like, what in the world? What is grand enough for me to spend that kind of money on? And I love LeBeau's response to that. I would buy peace. I would buy, quietness. I would buy. Money doesn't necessarily buy happiness, but it really makes the journey to happiness a lot shorter, right? Because you don't have a lot of the other pressures that you have along the way. And man, I'll tell you what, that response to me is as grand as the thought of winning $500 million. That's dope.
Joe.
Nice.
What about you, Joe?
Man, I thought about it too. And now that y'all are being all charitable, I feel like selfish.
Nah, go for it, dude.
No. So I would do it. I would do a couple of things. No, honestly, I do a couple of things. I love the local church. I always have, always will. I would build a state-of-the-art church. I've always wanted a church inside of like a building, or of course a building, but like a warehouse type of environment, right? With the latest of everything, because I'm just into technology. I'm into like whatever modern technology there is. I want that, and I don't think I don't consider that selfish, because I would use it for the kingdom. I just think that modern stuff makes things better, easier, brighter, shinier, more attractive, whatever that is. And so I would definitely do that. And one thing I would do different if I had that kind of money would be to hire people that help people that I don't have time to reach. So in other words, as a small church pastor, I just don't have time to go visit people all the time, or go to the hospital, or reach out, or whatever. But there's still a lot of people that need that, and so I would have, gifted people who have a passion for that, help in that capacity. The other thing I would do is build me a cycling studio that would double as an in-person experience, kind of like a cycle bar, whatever type of place. And then also at the same time be a YouTube recording studio where you can record those things, and then put it out in the world. I would have kind of like what we're doing here, like a multi-environment place where we can do podcasts. You could do in-person interviews. You could go to the next room, put on a class, host with, invite 20 people to come in and take a class, whatever. And so do those two. Like I feel super blessed, because I get to do, to a degree, all, both of those now, just at a level that, at the level that I can do it based on my current capacity, if you will, with money and time and all that stuff. But I feel like I would do the same things, just at a bigger level, with bigger toys and more expensive cameras. That would be what I would do. And obviously pay off everything. Definitely get another house in a warmer climate. Evie would love that. She's from Puerto Rico. She always gets depressed in the winter. So we definitely have to have something where we can go to. But that's what I would do. Well,
I'm sure all of us, thought about the selfish things, but I always think about, like, even the reports on, like, third world countries, like the way the four of us are living right now is, we're like a small percentage of, and I feel really blessed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thank God every day for the things that we're able to do. Like being able to do what we're doing right here. Having the capability to do that with my closest friends. I mean, that's a blessing, man. It's like you know, we always think, man, if I only had that much more money, if I had this, but sometimes you just needing to take that step back and say, man, I'm blessed right now the way I am. You know, there are stresses in life and there are things, but like there's a lot of stuff that I've been blessed with. That like, man, I've kind of I feel like I've won one part of that like lottery, that life
Yeah,
lottery,
we all won the lottery,
with
man.
a lot of the things that I've been blessed with in my life,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I mean, just being able to do this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
having the time with my family that I do have.
Yeah.
But of course, as Carlos said, it's like having that extra cash in the pocket, it always makes it easier,
Yeah.
But man, so blessed to
Well, here's the
just
thing too. I don't think anything any of us said is selfish in and of itself, meaning that at the end of the day, if you buy peace, it's because you want more time with your family. It's you want more time with people that you want to spend time with, that you want to, do life with. If I want to get a cycle studio, I want more people healthy, right? Like
yeah.
if there's none of what we said really is just a selfish, it's all about me. It's all about how can I put my family in a better place? How can I help other people? How can I, get something, the best camera so that they could see me better and hear me better? Like it's really like not even about us at the end of the day. So I love that. And I wanted to thank you, Vince, because I like every once in a while, man, you'll shout me out online or you'll share something, from our church, and it'll be like, oh, this is one of my best friends, and this is him doing what he loves to do. Like, dude, you don't know how much that means to me. I just got to tell you, it's I don't even know how to respond sometimes, because it coming from you, coming from one of my closest friends, and just doing that, as simple as it might be, or as the few seconds that it takes for you to do that, like really like does something for my heart. So I appreciate you, bro. I love you for that, man. It's like, thank you. I just got to tell you that for sure.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm telling you, I'm like, there's, because you guys are my brothers. It's like watching my brothers succeed in things that they're doing, and it's like, man, I'm so proud of Carlos being, taking the steps.
Traveling.
Yeah,
And, yeah.
I mean, we've talked about it in that where he started in life to where he is now. It makes me so proud as a brother of seeing him, succeed in life the way he has.
Yeah.
LeBeau, like I mean, there's you've had challenges throughout your life, but I mean, there's such a joy to what you bring in everyday life, and man, it's it, it it's just such a blessing to be surrounded by that, be surrounded by you guys, and it just pushes me as a person. I always thought about this, like, and I always think about, like, man, did I ever really have a mentor? An actual, like, and as a mentor, I think somebody who's like elder to me, that besides my parents, somebody else who actually mentored me in my life. And I'm like, man, I really didn't have like that type of mentor, but I did have people in my life that kind of influenced what and molded me to what I've become and where I'm my direction. And I still do. And the three of you guys have been like part of that, influential, and of succeeding, keeping me in line of where I need to be and everything. And I thank you guys a lot for that, really appreciate that.
It's been good, man.
Difficult.
It's been
It's been
good.
difficult keeping you off drugs, that's for sure. So
It's
question
been hard
quickly.
not to fill up our memory on our our capacity limits on our YouTube channel with your cheeks on the face of this.
Anyway, I happen to like my cheeks very much.
They're amazing cheeks. All right.
This is
So let me ask you a question. Let me ask you guys an honest question. Would it be selfish if I took a little bit of those lottery proceeds and got a BBL? Would that be selfish? I can't keep a straight face. I was trying to give a straight. Is it a BBL? Is that what it's called, LeBeau? You know what a BBL is.
Mm-hmm. I would say that would be selfish.
I'd fill out those spandex really nice, though. I mean, Vince was talking about how you've had struggles. You definitely had struggles of the spandex variety for sure.
Yeah, I wasn't lacking, dude. I didn't need a BBL back in the 80s, bro. Full hits.
I guess you're gonna have to refresh me on the BBL.
Yeah, I'm lost right now.
Brazilian butt lift, dude.
Are you serious?
Dead.
What?
Carlos said it would be selfish if he took the money and he got himself a Brazilian butt lift. Kim Kardashian style.
Listen, hey, if I feel good, I can make others feel good. That's not selfish.
There you go. Carlos. There's the shining.
Hey,
there it is.
There it
Silver
is.
lining.
Hey,
yeah.
I did just take those cheeks and put those.
So you'd be
face off. Butt off.
Oh my God.
Awesome.
And it's all right too. And there's nothing wrong with doing something for ourselves either. But I feel like you can trace everything back to Carlos's point, like to some kind of joy
we'll still love you,
for
bro.
somebody else. Yeah.
I know you love me. I'll have a luxurious hind quarter.
Luscious.
Hind quarter. All right. Well, hopefully it'll be more than a quarter. It'll be, all right. Let's do something fun. We were going to talk about driving in the snow in Colorado. I'm not really feeling that unless you guys are, but I feel like National Cigar Day. Yeah. What's that, LeBeau?
I think we covered that with your accident, man.
No, no, we people lose their mind when they drive, especially the first time it snows. But it is National Cigar Day, so we're going to finish with something fun here. I want to put some photos on the.
I appreciate you guys always humoring me with my dumb little stuff that I come with at the last minute too. By the way,
I got something for you. I got something for you, son.
You got
National Cigar Day.
All right, let me.
What you got, Carlos, over there? I see you pulling something.
Hey, wait, let's wait. I almost removed you. Wait, hold on.
My after hours toy here.
Nice, bro. I see you stepping your game up. Bro, we gotta go golfing, Carlos. What are you doing over there?
Well, I will drink the whiskey and I will smoke the cigars in the golf cart. And enjoy letting my BBL heal while you guys hack it up.
Oh man. All right. So LeBeau, walk us through this, man. You have some photos that you sent us. Excuse me. Does it matter which one I show first?
No, it doesn't really matter since it's National Cigar Day. We'll go with it. Carlos just pulled out himself a Campana. So there's all kinds of different sizes of cigars. You had the one that Carlos had, and the distinctive nature of the cigar he had that pointed end. It's like the fourth one down there, the Campana, that pointed in. And then the cigars, they kind of go by ring size. So you have like a 5.6 and a ring size of 42, 40, 35, 30, so on and so forth. And that's kind of like true to your ring size of your wedding ring size. It definitely correlates to the exact same size. There's a cigar, and you can go to the next slide whenever you want, Joe.
This pod is educational. I didn't know that. All right,
educational. This is my favorite cigar right here. So the reason why this is my favorite cigar is it's a Leaf by Oscar, and I need to shout out to Leaf so that I can get a sponsorship through Leaf, through G.
Oh, whoops, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Never mind. I'll stop doing that. Go ahead, LeBeau. Sorry.
So Leaf by Oscar. And the reason why I smoke these one is because most cigars, they come with a plastic wrapper. So plastics have recently came to light, and Carlos probably knows a little bit about this. Have recently came to light, like being really infused in our water bottles and our food and everything else. So to try to stay away from plastic as much as possible is definitely my route. And not that cigars are by any means healthy or anything like that. I'm not saying that. They do have benefits, and some of those benefits, like relaxation and all that kind of stuff, that peace, all that good stuff comes along with cigars. But some bad stuff comes along with cigars too, and that's addiction and there are you can have cancerous cancer causing, of course. But this particular cigar comes wrapped in a tobacco leaf, as you can see in the background there. So as you get it, it comes like with a tobacco leaf wrapped type cigar.
Can you buy that? Where would you buy that at?
Most any like fine cigar shops have these. You're probably not going to pick this up at the gas station or anything like that, but most fine cigar places are going to have these, and they're not inexpensive either. So when you're talking about hobbies a little bit earlier and winning the lotto, I think I'm going to have to win the lotto to support the cigar habit, dude. These cigars right here, these are $21 a piece.
Okay,
so,
wow,
it's not the
most
all right cost effective thing to go with.
Well,
and then back to ring sizes, I actually go ahead and you can hit the next slide there, Joe.
Yep.
Oh, these are the wrapper types. So informational thing, like Joe was saying, these are the wrapper types. You have at the bottom here, you have this Candela, which is like a green kind of wrapper. And then you have one up from that. It was my favorite. It's a Connecticut. And believe it or not, those tobacco leaves are actually grown in the United States, in Connecticut. That's where the strain of that leaf comes from, which is odd. Like you wouldn't expect like a nice cigar to come from Connecticut in the United States, right? And then you kind of go up the chart as you go. There's a Maduro, which is a real dark one. Those are typically grown in. The Maduros are going to be the ones that are going to be like the Cuban style, Puerto Rican, Dominican, those type are like in the Maduro range. That's kind of where that leaf gets its like name from, and so on and so forth. So I don't know if we have any other slides.
Do darker cigars?
No, it's just that was it. There was just the three there.
Okay.
Do darker cigars make you dance better?
I wouldn't say make you dance better. However, depending on the shade of those cigars, like you were saying, Carlos, like a darker cigar, it's gonna be more full body. When you say full body, is when you smoke it, you're gonna definitely feel a difference, or like it's kind of like it's like drinking, the same thing. It's gonna make your body feel different when you're doing it. And those darker cigars that are more full bodied, you're gonna definitely feel that if you're not eating or doing something to help prevent that from happening. You'll get an upset stomach, you'll probably get a headache, probably spit a lot, all that kind of stuff. So it's not like the most pleasant thing to be doing if you're not knowing what you're doing. And that's why I'm filling you guys in, so that way if you guys
now we're educated
decide to go this route, you want to pick yourself a Connecticut, something light, something short like a Corona or something, so on and so forth. So, and cigars, man, they are like almost the epitome of like how would you say gimmicks.
Do they have any flat cigars like
Carlos's
current behind?
Yep, they're called wafers, dude. No, they seriously have flat cigars. No BBL cigars, dude. They're called wafers. They're actually, I have a wafer. Hold on a second.
I don't even know if that's true or not. He's just said. All right, sorry.
Here is the wafer right here. If you guys can see this, so this cigar is a wafer cigar. It's a Bach press, but look, if you turn it, look how thin it is on one side.
Whoa,
that's how you look sideways.
That's a wafer cigar. Arturo Fuente. You
started it, Carlos. All right.
Cigars are super gimmicky, dude. So they always have some sort of like super gimmick stuff that they come up with in order to entice you to purchase their cigar. So that like this one comes with its own little like metal wrapping case. This one comes with a gold wrapper, and they have like an anniversary type, wrapping on it. I had a this cigar was a Macanudo vintage that was in this one, but it actually comes with like a ring, and it's just like the most common ring size. So you actually have a ring to put on your finger, like temp thing.
Like a metal ring, or is that plastic?
It's metal. It's metal, like a real ring, dude. Like this thing's like nice. You have different cutting styles, different type of lighting styles. You have a V cut. You have a flat cut like this, a full through. You have a punch. So on the bottom of this lighter, it has like a little round, like punch edge to it. If you can see it,
you don't have to cut it.
So you don't have to really necessarily cut it. You just kind of punch a hole in the back of it. I have this traveling humidor that I keep with me all the time.
Oh,
so
dude, I need to get one of those.
Yeah, it's a little like encased traveling humidor. It comes with your like little like humidity packs. You throw your little humidity packs in there. That keeps the cigars humidified.
Send me a link to where you bought that.
I will. There's they come with like some cigars when you buy them, they come with these like gimmicky things. So like this one comes with its own like flamethrower torch thing.
That's a cigar that you just turned on?
No, that was like it came like wrapped together.
Dude, I was gonna say, make sure you put that in your mouth on the right end.
The cigar, the torch, all that stuff.
Roasted your microphone,
right? There's I bought this tool. So this is called a long tool.
You have a library behind you.
Yeah, be careful.
Burn down the library.
Set those books on fire.
This one there's a punch tool on one side. There's a bigger punch tool on the other side. If you guys can kind of see, there's like an extra little punch tool on the other side.
Yeah.
And then on one of these, there's this like long lancer looking knife thing. And
put it up close to the camera, because you have a nice camera. You should be able to focus that in. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so like this basically what's happening here is if you get a cigar that's rolled too tight, or you're not enjoying it and you're not able to just kind of enjoy it, you're like feel yourself like struggling to smoke it or anything, you can take this tool and you kind of stick it down the middle of the cigar and you kind of break up the leaf as you go through there. And that kind of breaks that leaf up so you can get a better draw on your cigar and so on and so forth. And then the other side of that tool is when you get to the end of your cigar and you're kind of like not wanting to burn your fingertips, but you still kind of want to finish your cigar. You don't want to waste it. They're $21 a piece, right? I have this other tool, if you guys can see that. Basically, you stick this into the little piece of the cigar that you have left over at the end, and then you can kind of like just use that like a crutch to smoke the rest of your cigar, so you can finish doing what
you used to use something similar when you used to smoke your leños when you were little.
Pretty much same thing as a crutch when you used to smoke your joints. Carlos, you are correct.
Wow. Yeah, well, thank you for the
yeah,
dude, that's like a masterclass in express masterclass in cigars. Thank you, man.
Dude,
yeah,
I will say
National Cigar Day.
I will say I stumbled onto cigar smoking. Gosh, it's probably been about 7 years or so. We were in Cancun with a bunch of friends. It was an adult-only trip, so it gives you an idea of the type of debauchery that was happening in Mexico. And we were hanging out. We were going to dinner, and one of the guys pulled out a cigar, and he's like, "You want one?" I was like, "Dude, I've never smoked anything ever in my life. Nothing." He's like, "Oh, dude, it's super easy. Here." So he lit it up. And I have to tell you, I pretty quickly felt so relaxed and calm and just chill. And I actually didn't have a cigar hangover. And I didn't, to this day, knock on wood, I haven't thrown up. I haven't gotten sick. My stomach hasn't gotten upset. And I think that's part of the reason why I enjoy it, because I haven't had any of those negative effects. But it actually is a fun, relaxing hobby. Certainly I would caution anybody out there, with addictive personalities, because it is that good. You could potentially, get to LeBeau's level where you've got every tool in the kit. But it actually is a very relaxing.
Get to that point when you're burning down libraries.
That's the number one. That is the number one reason, Carlos, is the relaxation portion of it. Just to be able to chill out, you know,
that in your hot tub in the back.
That in the hot tub, bro. A
Do you
cigar
smoke
in the
them
hot
in the
tub,
hot
there's
tub?
nothing
Yeah.
like it, bro. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
I still
Dude,
wanna
there's
get a hot tub
nothing
when I'm
modest
done.
about your life, bro. Nothing. You're like freaking Native American, Mexican.
look at the
library.
Look at the
all
computer
changed.
you got next to you. That's not modest at all. You know.
Ever since I got the library, dude, that's when it all changed. That's when
That's an educated man right there.
Oh my god. No, that's good. That's good. It's been fun, guys. It's been fun. We're gonna continue to do this. We're definitely driven to meet up. If anything, it's just good time for us to hang out and talk and just continue to share our lives together as friends. But we will catch you guys on the next one.
Be sure to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff.
Yeah. And if you have any topic stuff, throw it in the comments. Throw it in the comments. Sure. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.